All right, well, Jim, let's move on. And as you said, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm going to do my best, ladies and gentlemen, to give you the usual fun show we always do. So why don't we start with a story that's in the news, so it's worth talking about. I have an article here, Jim, from Deadline. How Dwayne Johnson's smashing machine went down for the count as Star's lowest opening. The pick will bleed little with $10 to $15 million loss. WWE.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were, but I knew this is what you would want to lead with to perk yourself up a little bit. Bad news about The Rock's misfortunes. That's something that always brings a warmness to your cockles, or whatever that phrase is.
A little bit of "I told you so" is always good for the soul, I think. And there were people who said this movie was going to be the big movie that gets him Oscar consideration, and it's the Safdies, and it's an indie production company. So, I mean, that's the move. They have spent so much money marketing this movie. Forget about the commercials during wrestling. I've seen nonstop commercials for this thing all over the place. During the playoffs, all over the place. And that's just here, not even worldwide. So they have spent a ton of money marketing the hell out of this.
The reports that I saw were that they spent $50 million on the movie. And then the marketing costs on top of that. And they said they're going to get tax breaks from, where did they shoot? Did they shoot in Australia? Wherever they shot, they're going to get tax break. But a tax break is one thing, but my God, this is the gross domestic product of Nicaragua or whatever we're talking about here at this point. Originally they were projecting that it was going to gross on its opening weekend up to $20 million. And then they revised that prediction as it was getting closer to, well, more like 15 million. And then they were at 8 to 10 million, I think, before the actual weekend. And they ended up just shy of 6 million, which is apparently, like you said, the worst Rock opening in ever. So but anyway, you were in the middle of reading your thing, but I'm flabbergasted that I'm not flabbergasted that a movie could be a success or bomb, but I'm flabbergasted that all the experts were so fucking far off about this thing.
Well, I think the experts are far off about the appeal of The Rock, and I've been saying that for a while. He's a major star. He's been in major successes, although you could argue, what did he draw versus the vehicle? You know, if he's in a Disney film, is it, oh my God, The Rock's in a Disney film? Or is it, my daughter wants to go see that Disney film?
It's got The Rock in it.
Yeah, he just happens to be in it. But, you know, anyone could play that role. It's not like he's drawing people to that role. That's not a shot at him. Literally, you put Robert De Niro in that role, it wouldn't be like, oh, Robert De Niro in Moana. It sounds like it'll be great. No, it's my kids want to see Moana. That's what it is. But we hear about the millions and millions of social media followers. He's everywhere. They just did another puff piece on CBS Sunday Morning. Coincidentally, the week before they did another one on J-Lo. He is the male J-Lo, in the sense that we're told that he's a major star. We see that he clearly is a major star, yet there isn't really, I don't think, any evidence that people want to go out and financially support that star's vehicles. Because this movie is all about The Rock. And they've tried to say shit like, he's unrecognizable in the movie. Give me a break. It looks like Dwayne Johnson and a bad makeup team.
Well, remember when we first saw the trailer months ago and we saw here on the program, we said, why did they make him up to look like fucking Andre? He looks like Dwayne Johnson made up to look kind of like Andre the Giant.
And that's when he has hair. When Mark Kerr shaves his head, I've seen images of that. I'm going to go see this movie eventually. I may have to wait till it comes out. We'll see how much time I have. But once he shaves his head, it looks like The Rock. It looks just like The Rock. It looks like someone playing The Rock more than it looks like The Rock playing someone else. So the movie Smashing Machine, again, it's an indie movie. He has called it a passion pick. What's the audience for it? I mean, if you want to see the Mark Kerr story, the documentary was fantastic years ago. I don't even know where it's available now. But Mark Kerr is a name that UFC fans really don't know. Modern UFC fans. I don't know how much they know about the history of the sport. There wasn't, I don't think, much appeal for this. But again, it's been pushed down
Well, and
everyone's
who was
throats.
it? Which WWE Hollywood bigwig, was it Nick Khan or was it Ari Emanuel? Somebody said, well, this will fire up more interest in wrestling movies. This isn't a wrestling movie. This is a fighting movie with a wrestler in it. So is this movie the Antonio Inoki versus Muhammad Ali of movies, where the wrestling fans, it bombed here because the wrestling fans didn't know who Inoki was and the boxing fans didn't take it seriously? Do the UFC MMA fans not take The Rock seriously as Mark Kerr, if they remember him? And conversely, would the wrestling fans be more likely to go see The Rock in a movie playing a fucking wrestler than a goddamn fighter they've never heard of?
This would be like if Hulk Hogan went to ECW and the fans didn't care. They didn't draw, no one extra came. The people who were there just enjoyed the show as always. Like, nothing about this package made anyone say, I gotta see this. So much puff came out about this. The standing ovation at Cannes. When like 3 people saw the movie and 2 of them like left positive reviews, we started hearing it. See, Brian, 100% reviews on Rated Tomatoes or Rotten Tomatoes, whatever the fuck.
Rated Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomato.
I've rated a few tomatoes in my day, but it's been a while since you could use that word in describing them.
And the more people saw the movie, the more negative reviews came out. WWE vet Dwayne Johnson learned about his Achilles heel at the box office this weekend after his R-rated drama, The Smashing Machine, hit the mat as the blockbuster star's lowest opening ever with $5.9 million US. For Johnson, for the story of UFC champ Mark Kerr was a passion project. The wrestler turned actor announced the movie back at the UFC 244 card weigh-in in November 2019.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that's another thing. You got to remember, I believe Dwayne Johnson and his team, which would be, his ex-wife, are producers of this project. It's not just like he's an actor. I believe he is one of the producers of the project.
Yes, they all produce.
That's rough, as Johnson is a tireless promoter who leaves no stone unturned on the PR tour. Like Taylor Swift, whose movie fared better this weekend, he has a social media reach of 500 million plus, to whom he speaks directly.
Now, hold on here 1 second now, because you got to remember, I'm not exactly in the key demo, Brian, for the Swifties. So, but she released a movie, and the movie consists of her telling people that she's just released a record. What is happening? It's not a movie. She's not starring in a movie. The movie is somehow tied in with her goddamn new record. Do you have any further information on this?
The name of the film is Taylor Swift, the official release party for a showgirl, which did $34 million opening weekend.
So it was the release party that she released for her record. She just hears the video of the release party and it made $30-something million in a weekend.
She's an incredibly successful musician. I mean,
why doesn't she just bottle her fucking bathwater?
Well, that's what I was going to say. She's also a major worker. And I don't think there's ever been anyone of the modern era who has worked the fan base up as well as she has.
Was she babysitting for Jeff Jarrett's kids, or was she babysitting for Jerry Jarrett's kids? I think she learned from the head man himself.
Yeah, she could teach Jeff a thing or two. I don't think she learned it from Jeff. But let's go back to this. It's rough, as there truly seemed to be awards glow on the Smashing Machine coming out of the Venice Film Festival after its 15.5-minute standing ovation. Johnson crying.
Hold on again. I know again. What is it? That have to be somehow performative from a small insider group in support of something that potentially somebody that they're personal friends with has done to stand there? If you told Howie, the mailroom guy, Howie, you got 6 weeks to live, so we're going to let you fuck all 3 of your favorite porn stars all at once. After it was over, would Howie give a 15-minute standing ovation to the point, what has ever happened in your life that you have ever seen or experienced, Brian, that you would stand there and applaud for 15 minutes?
I can't think of anything. I know celebrating for 15 minutes, you could get really into your team winning, but standing there and just clapping.
But that's what I'm saying.
It starts dying down a little, like, no, bring it back. And you just keep doing that? No.
Yeah, no, it's not just being in a great fucking mood. Well, I'm just thrilled that this has happened. It's standing there, what the fuck? No.
You know what it is? You know what I think it is? Because other movies recently have gotten that kind of reaction. And that's like a traditional thing, like the ultimate sign of respect. I said Cannes before. This is the Venice Film Festival. To get that kind of standing ovation, get any kind of standing ovation. But it's like when Milton Berle hosted Saturday Night Live. And Lorne Michaels said he was like so disgusted when Milton Berle came up to him. He's like, don't worry. The standing ovation's in the can. Because he had like all his people there. And like, Milton Berle sang some song that no one wanted to hear. And all of a sudden there's people in the balcony standing up and clapping. And everyone's like, oh shit, I guess we're supposed to do this too. Like, he set it up himself because that's what he wanted. But Lorne Michaels was disgusted by the idea of this, prefab standing ovation.
Well, remember that's when they made Heyman come down here to Louisville. After they ran me off of OVW, they made Heyman come down, and he was miserable. But he would put the fans that the people affiliated with the amateur class, the smart people that were kind of with it, and some of the amateur class, he'd put them across from the camera and tell them how to react all the time to everything. But then other people start noticing, why are they just standing up and screaming when nothing's fucking happening?
Well, again, back to this, it does seem excessive and it does seem somewhat pretentious. Johnson, they're talking about the 15.5-minute standing ovation. Johnson crying on a global stage, Safdie's Silver Lion win, and a seemingly good 73% Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh critical score.
What the fuck? Who comes up with this terminology?
But it's never a good sign when a movie plummets from its initial projections on tracking. 3 weeks ago, Smashing Machine was forecasted to be one of A24's highest openings ever, in the high teens to $20 million range. What the hell happened? Let's stop there for a moment.
God damn.
Again, whether this is The Rock or not, and I don't think The Rock doing a role like this is something people got excited for. I think people see it as a gag almost, because I don't think people take him seriously as an actor, and I don't think, like J-Lo doing her stripper movie, I don't think it's going to do anything to change anyone's opinions. But again, I don't know if anyone in this role, as Mark Kerr, would have widespread appeal right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a story that's good. Women aren't going to really be interested in the story, I don't think, because I think the impression you get from watching the trailers is, oh, it's about domestic violence. And I don't think that's even what the movie's about. And I think young men aren't into The Rock. This goes back to what I was saying when TKO gave him everything, because TKO is run by his agents, the people who have profited the most next to Dwayne Johnson. Who's profited the most from his career? Ari Emanuel. Like, next to Dwayne Johnson, Ari Emanuel's number 2, and then Vince McMahon. So they've done everything they can to try to make this thing happen. I think there's a mythology around Dwayne Johnson and how popular he is, and part of that's because the best role he plays is the role of I'm Mr. Popular Actor when he's doing talk shows or anything. But box office is box office, and I'm not giving him credit for animated roles where they use his voice. or for being a part of an ensemble in Fast and the Furious or anything.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You can't really, just because somebody does a voice of someone, that I don't think can be a measure of their box office success. But here's the thing. Also, don't lose track of who the fuck, again, respectfully, is Mark Kerr. Nobody really knows. Do you think a movie about Conor McGregor with Finn Balor playing Conor McGregor would outgross The Rock playing Mark Kerr? I think so, probably, in today's modern age, because people know who the fuck he is, especially people that are young enough they're going to go to a movie.
Another part of the problem is, look at the way The Rock has been presented on wrestling TV in the last 2 years. Has he been presented, if you're just a wrestling fan who casually watches the show, but you kind of get into it, has he been presented as someone you want to support in any way?
He's a dick that comes out and fucks with people, and he whipped Cody Rhodes with a belt and stole his watch and kicked his dog. What? No. And see, that's what I was saying about. I couldn't believe Cena would retire as a heel because of movies, because still you're creating some type of negative reaction when you're a heel that doesn't necessarily translate to you being the most popular person in the world if you're doing your job right.
Well, again, let's go back to the article here for a little bit. Word began to leak at Smashing Machine's Toronto North American premiere that the movie wasn't all that. And no, not because Johnson was stretching with an edgy, dramatic performance. Rather, Smashing Machine wasn't an underdog sports movie, nor necessarily one about a champ's downfall. Rather, a very non-traditional, deliberately paced movie about an athlete struggling with drug addiction. The movie's B- cinema score is on par with A24's cinematic canon, which is known to divide critics and moviegoers.
And also, what was that word? Deliberate?
Yes.
That was a kind word that the old-fashioned announcers like Gordon Soley used to use when he's got a deliberate pace when somebody was just fucking slow and plodding and boring the shit out of people.
And if a movie like that is slow and deliberate, that means it's just The Rock. It's just like watching him in that role without talking and stuff. So I don't, I gotta see this thing now. Here's the good news. The movie has a net $50 million production cost with tax credits from Vancouver and New Mexico.
That's good news.
It won't lose much. Estimates being in the $10 to $15 million range.
Wait a minute. Hold on here now there, young man. How in the world, if the movie cost $50 million, did they say that was with promotion?
No, I think that's just the production.
Okay.
There's no way that's promotion. There's no way that's
50 million plus promotion.
Plus 50 million. Plus probably 50 million in promotion.
They took in 6 million. They got deals, they know somebody, but they took in 6 million in opening weekend. It's not going to go up from here. How big the goddamn tax credit from Vancouver? What did they just give them the goddamn city? Before that, they would only lose $10 or $15 million doing that math. What is going on in the world?
Well, it says here, The Rock and Safdie are going to be working again soon on Ishtar 2.
They say they ought to be washing dishes at a Vancouver soup kitchen to pay the city of Vancouver back.
Well, let's go back to the article here. On the low end, that's based on a final domestic between 14 million and 20 million. How great that loss becomes hinges on how hard A24 wants to push the movie this award season. Insiders are telling us that the New York City label continues to support the movie and stands behind the filmmaker's vision. Smashing Machine's budget is propped by foreign sales, which The Rock lobbied for back at Cannes in 2024.
Oh!
Estimated to be in the $35 million range.
Okay.
A24 also has a great pay-one deal at HBO Max. If you remember, the Von Erich movie, The Iron Claw, debuted on HBO Max when it went digital.
But The Rock got him a Howard Brody deal overseas. Get that international money, baby.
Yeah, he may know a chic or two. Or at least his friends may. Smashing Machine was a project foreign buyers liked in qualitative terms, but at the time, sources say they were concerns over its commerciality as a story with unrecognizable Johnson. He's not unrecognizable. That's the thing that keeps getting me. They're like, you can not even tell it's him. You can exactly tell it's him. It looks like only him.
But you know what? That's goddamn... That's the best name I've ever heard for an old Western movie sidekick. Well, there comes unrecognizable Johnson. Wonder what he's going to say to the sheriff.
Here's a part of the positive spin they're trying to make. Johnson took a $4 million fee, significantly below his historical $20 million plus paycheck plus points. Sources say he even gave a portion of his paycheck to Emily Blunt and Kerr. So now the story is The Rock, who again, he's a producer. He's not just an actor in this thing, so he would make money from the back end. That The Rock gave away his money, or parts of it, to these other people because he really wanted to make this project so bad.
But that was easier to do when the WWE, I just saw the other day the amount of stock and pay that they have given him to drop in every once in a while and fuck up the booking plans over the last few years is past $60 million. And he just shows up like 4 days in 2 years. So I guess the WWE is financing his acting vision.
You know, you may remember I used to complain about the fact that Triple H one day showed up with a crew cut. Like, there was never anything done, which I think would have been the professional thing, the right thing, something that actually could have probably drawn some interest. If Triple H was against someone and it was hair versus hair, or somehow there was even an angle where someone cut his hair.
Yes.
There's something there. Not just he shows up one day in a suit with a crew cut.
Guys didn't even used to, a lot of times if they'd buy a new car, they would make sure the booker knew to put it in an angle, like, let me win the car, or just anything. You always were thinking in that direction.
The Rock showed up as pumped up as he's ever been, beat the shit out of the lead babyface, and then made sure that he's not going to return until he looks like a different person who was never going to, there's never going to be any resolution to any of this. And it's all because of The Rock. And now what are they going to do? Now he's going to have some time on his hands. Now this movie's bombing and they've been airing it or advertising it all over wrestling. He's got his Moana live action movie coming soon. And again, Moana's the draw, not Dwayne Johnson. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things go in the future. But let me scroll down a little bit. Here's where I disagree with this article. While that net $50 million might be low for a Rock movie, it's considerably high for a wrestling movie, which I don't consider this a wrestling movie.
This is in no way a wrestling. It's a movie with a wrestler in it.
Jared Hess's 2006 Nacho Libre, which opened post the director's fanfare for Napoleon Dynamite, back when Jack Black original comedies could debut at $28.3 million and end their domestic run at $80 million. So this is the biggest thing since then.
Well, and also Nacho Libre, to be perfectly honest, did wrestling fans go see that, or was it Jack Black fans? Because I guess it was for the really diehard wrestling fan, but it was again incidental to the plot.
Yeah,
that he it was not like this was a wrestling movie about the current United States wrestling scene involving other wrestlers and things that the wrestling fans would say, oh, I got to go see that. It's a Jack Black comedy.
You know, that's a movie that introduced people who don't like wrestling to Lucha Libre, actually, more than anything. Anyone who saw that was the first they probably ever heard of that and understood what the masked wrestling was all about. Here are some previous films. A24's 2023 Iron Claw, 3-day opening, $4.8 million, ended up at $35 million domestic. Darren Aronofsky's 2-time Oscar-nominated The Wrestler, its highest grossing weekend was $3.7 million, and that was
Jesus Christ.
And that was only its 6th week out, and it ended with 26.2 final domestic box office.
Okay, and that surprises me because it surprises me that the Iron Claw grossed more when it debuted than The Wrestler did, because you heard so much about The Wrestler for so long. And secondly, the domestic grosses total that they're getting when they open so is surprising to me also. Maybe this thing does have a chance of only losing 10 or 15 million.
Bennett Miller's 2014 Foxcatcher, which again, that's about amateur wrestling, not necessarily pro wrestling, $1 million in its widest break, final of $12 million. Heck, even Peter Falk starring in the 1981 nudie comedy All the Marbles.
Wait a minute.
Nudie comedy?
That wasn't. No, was there nudity in All the Marbles?
I have to go back and watch it now. I don't remember that.
Me too. I don't remember it either. I might have liked it better. He managed girl wrestlers in a showbiz. None of these are actual movies about professional wrestling.
And that one finished with 6.1 million domestic. Again, that's 1981. You know, real quick here as a aside, part of the issue is, and we may never see a good wrestling movie because who's going to make it, you know, in the current system. But if you look at the movies that have come out, you know, I've always been a big fan of Body Slam, but that's not even a good example because they couldn't even get into theaters. They had some kind of legal issue where by the time, you know, if it had been released right away, who knows what it would have done with Roddy Piper in a starring role. But they had to wait like a year and a half or whatever it was, and then it just went on to HBO, where it aired endlessly so people like me could watch it. But Grunt didn't do any business, and it's not necessarily the greatest movie. Vern Gagne's The Wrestler, maybe I don't know if I should say it's the best movie. See, the problem is all the examples they gave are all like sad sack films, other than all the marbles. The Wrestler, this new Rock movie.
Well, and then the ones that you just talked about, Grunt and all the marbles, it's either a comedy movie where wrestling is all silly and they're not really any of the wrestlers that the fans would know in the particular era that are in the movie, and it's not really about wrestling. It just kind of makes fun of it. So wrestling fans don't really go to see it. Or the sad sack stuff. I'm sure all the indie fans went to see The Wrestler, and there's a guy's falling asleep at a fucking autograph table in front of nobody. And it's, you know, that's why I got not an advance. It wasn't legitimate. Somebody bootlegged a DVD before it came out on DVD. And I've told the story before. I watched it while Stace and I were in Orlando for TNA. And it pissed me off so bad and depressed me so bad. I threw the DVD out the car window when we were going over a bridge into the fucking water on the way back home. The Wrestler, Vern Gagne's The Wrestler, I think you're trying to say, not that it was the best one because it wasn't that big budget or that accomplished of a movie, but it was the only one that actually had wrestling stars in the wrestling business, and it was a movie about current day wrestling, current day being 1974 when it was done.
It didn't treat everything silly. It treated wrestling as something that existed in the real world with these characters.
And there was the funny scene with Bruiser and Crusher in the barroom fight, and there was elements of humor and wah, 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 you know, that type of thing. But it didn't treat the business like it was either silly or like, what was the WCW movie?
Ready to Rumble, one of the worst.
Ready to Rumble.
Ever. Yeah. It was a joke. And they treated it like a joke.
But they made fun of their own fans in that movie. So why does the fan want to go sit there and watch himself be made fun of? And so it's all been silly or blah, 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 or so depressing. And Queen of the Ring is the closest thing to a serious fucking movie about wrestling of one era.
Another sad movie. sad movie. There's no positive, happy wrestling movies.
But she didn't lose the belt in the end. She persevered, and then it didn't go into when she then lost the rest of her business and blah, blah, blah. But nevertheless, and it had me. So that was a starring turn. But there is, I guess Vern Gagne's The Wrestler was the only legitimate movie of any type that got theatrical release that's been done about the current wrestling business in the United States with current wrestling stars in it ever.
Well, I'll bring up one because I saw it in the theater when I was 9, No Holds Barred, which, again, it was a horrible script and a really bad movie, but you would think if there was ever going to be a wrestling movie to succeed, a vehicle starring Hulk Hogan at the height of Hulkamania would be something. But again, word got out pretty quickly that it was an awful movie. The clips they showed on TV made it apparent that it wasn't good. But, you know, it's hard to compare all of these things together. They're all kind of just sad. The ones in the recent years, the Von Erich film and this and The Wrestler, it's just all about how awful the wrestling business is and how you want to stay away from it or you're going to die.
Yes. I think they could come do a movie about me. I'm out. He's out in the yard feeding the deer.
I have here a Instagram post from The Rock. It's him sitting there dressed as Mark Kerr. It looks like The Rock wearing a wig. Doesn't look like anything different than that. From deep in my grateful bones, thank you to everyone who has watched The Smashing Machine. In our storytelling world, you can't control box office results, But what I realized you can control is your performance and your commitment to completely disappear and go elsewhere. You should commit further to that, Rock.
Is this a suicide note?
And
what is?
I will always run to that opportunity. It was my honor to transform in this role for my director, Benny Safdie. Thank you, brother, for believing in me. Truth is, this film changed my life. With deep gratitude, respect, and radical empathy. DJ. See, that's the problem. He's so full of shit, he can't just write something that doesn't come across like he's fucking workshopping it.
What is radical empathy?
In our storytelling world, who talks like that? In our storytelling world, you've done a bunch of shit fucking movies. You're not a serious actor, you fucking doofus.
Now, calm down now.
In our storytelling world, come on. Is that what Corey Feldman would say? In our storytelling world? I was in Goonies. The fuck?
Oh, it sounds like lyrics from Tambourine Man. In our storytelling world, we'll go hallelujah.
Johnson has been in this slump before. The $17 million budgeted, I never even heard of this movie, the $17 million budgeted 2006 Gonzo movie, Southland Tales, grossed under $300,000 at the domestic box office after a Cannes Film Festival world premiere. Not to mention the audiences weren't really in their seats for his last R-rated movie, 2013's Pain and Gain, which earned a C+, despite Michael Bay, bodybuilders, and drugs. It opened to $20.2 million. But he has nothing to worry about. He'll be back in the Victory Belt Box Office glory. Is that what it says here? He'll be back in all Victory Belt Box Office glory. What the fuck kind of sentence is this? He'll be back in all Victory Belt Box glory soon with the openings of Disney's live-action Moana on July 10th, 2026, and Sony's Jumanji 3 on December 11th next year as well. Well, there it is, Jim. Not a surprise, but a lot of people thought, because I call out The Rock the way people would if they were paying attention to things, that I was being unjust when I laughed about this movie from the very jump, laughed about the idea of it being a serious movie, of people really wanting to see it. And here we are. Once again, where's The Rock's fans? Where are they? If it's not just about the movie and it's about this guy being a major star with a major reach, where are his fans? Where are all the people he was saying, hey, I've never been to In-N-Out Burger before? Where are all those people? Did they go to In-N-Out Burger? Did they go to this movie? Do they do anything he says to do? Do they buy that shitty tequila? Do they buy his hair care products? Telling you, he's the male J-Lo. We're told he's a major star, and he's a star. But he's part of a package on his own. He's not the guy people want to see. Not anymore. Not now. Not young people. Not men. Not wrestling fans.
There are no people, Jerry. Where are the people?
Well, this has been Box Office News. Jim?
Yes.
The Rock can't sell any tickets to this movie, apparently.
He couldn't sell pussy on a troop train.
But perhaps The Rock has another idea. I mean, he's got so much money and obviously lots of family around him to carry his piss bottles or whatever it may be. Maybe he can come up with a new business plan. Maybe The Rock, in his storytelling world, can come up with a story that people would want to buy, or maybe a piss bottle branded by DJ. Who knows what it could be?
I said Taylor Swift could bottle her bathwater. I didn't mean that The Rock might be able to market his urinary emissions, but if you do have some type of idea on how to sell yourself or someone else to the public, I mean that in the entertainment fashion, not the carnal knowledge fashion, that's illegal, even with our friends at Shopify, and they'll do almost anything. But if you want to make some money with it like that, just hear those cash registers ring-a-ding-ding. If you want to make some money with an idea, a concept, yourself or someone else that you know as a product or service that you want to get behind, you got to have the big boys with you. Brian, that's first of all, you got to have the area manuals, area manuals, and the Nick Khans and the people with those other names that I would have trouble pronouncing at this point. You got to have people like them behind you. Shopify is the commerce platform on the interwebs that is the equivalent of the big Hollywood studio. That's the way you ought to think about it. They're the big Hollywood studio behind you. They got the wardrobe, they got the costuming, they've got the camera department, they got the guy that comes around and makes sure when you get caught fucking around on your wife that it stays undercover and doesn't go to the National Enquirer. You're going to need that, folks. If you make money with Shopify, first thing's going to happen is you're going to start screwing around with young harlots.
Let's not. That's a big jump you just made out of nowhere. I was sitting here enjoying the dings, the cha-chings that we hear.
Well, what do these big billionaires do? They're 90 years old. They're injectifying stuff into the side of their members so that they can screw Marilyn Monroe in a bungalow, but James Bacon's going to find out about it. But I'll tell you what, folks, with Shopify, you can get started with your own design studio. They'll furnish that to you there. You can accelerate your content creation. You can get the word out like you've got a marketing team behind you because Shopify is going to be telling everybody, hey, so-and-so's on our side. He's figured in. You better do business with him. And you know, when people get to the level of Shopify, who are responsible for 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States, well, then when they throw their weight around, people listen. Every once in a while, they have to rack somebody up and put them in the hospital for a couple of weeks, but it's never anything that can be proven.
They don't put anyone in the hospital. They don't put anyone in a rack. Again, nothing will be needed to be proven because nothing like this will happen. But Jim,
well, save all
you hear
receipts.
Some funky sounds. You know what that means, Jim? It's time to get funky with that promo code.
Yes, save all the receipts there. You might need to prove where you were when it goes to court. Turn your big business idea into money right now. With Shopify on your side, you can sign up right now for a $1 a month trial period, just $1 to let you know how integral they will be to your life and commerce. And you can start selling today at shopify.com/Cornette. It is a different code, I'm told, from the Jim Cornette Experience Show, which we will say JCE, but on this program, we're going to say Cornette. I don't know why, but that's the way it is, folks. Shopify.com/Cornette. And you can get the $1 a month trial period at Shopify and turn your dreams into reality, build up a bail money fund, and you'll be able to take on the world and fleece the suckers with the best of them.
Once again, no one will be fleeced, but we trust them with our products. ArcadianVanguard.com. You could trust them with yours. Well,
now, to be fair, we keep a good eye on them. Oh, ever since we...
That's Inoki saying thank you. We got to thank the listeners and give them that promo code. One more time. Play the song.
One more time. Ever since we hired the private investigator, things have been right as rain. That's Shopify.com/Cornette. $1 a month trial period. Shopify.com/Cornette. Haggadah.